Hello everyone, I'm Cheswick44, and welcome to this Let's Play of Greedfall, the Dying World. Last episode... Oh, immune to surge mobilization, that's what it is. Last episode, we got the last of the information we needed in order to prepare for the trial. Now, it's time for us to reveal the truth about everything that's going on.
There you are. Any news? Preparations are underway on my side, but without your help, I'll have trouble defending you.
Let's see, about the evidence and the testimony. Tell them about the two witnesses.
We found two witnesses who could vouch for us. The ink mistress, who heard the scene though she couldn't see it, and the carpenter who witnessed the whole thing. However, the carpenter warned us that his word would carry little weight.
What can the ink mistress report?
That she heard one of the men from the Bridge Alliance insult us before the attack.
So that contradicts the idea that this was an unwarranted attack, but it doesn't justify murder. And this carpenter...
He witnessed the whole thing and can confirm our innocence. But he told us that his testimony wouldn't help us.
I know who you're talking about, and he's not wrong. His past actions mean he's hardly credible. And his support for Alvida could easily be called into question. So if I were you, I'd think twice before putting him on the stand. It would be better to find other evidence, or find the prosecution's infamous witness before going to trial.
Well, we actually did find the false witness. He ran off.
We've spoken to the prosecution's witness, who won't be testifying at the trial.
Excellent. I hope you didn't use any underhanded methods that could backfire. But this will give you a much better chance at clearing your names, as the emissary will have nothing to back up her accusations. The whole affair seems suspicious, but the witness's reversal makes me think there's more to it than that. Some dark plot whose inner workings we may never understand.
Are you sure about that? Because, we have these documents here.
We discovered that the emissary has a hideout outside the city where she carried out business deals. She had documents there proving beyond doubt that she was behind the whole thing.
I suspected as much. But why would she do that?
So that the Knots would have no sympathy for my people. That they would think we are savages, and would have no second thoughts about participating in our destruction.
It's horrifying, and I'm furious at the idea that someone could have tried to manipulate our people in this way. This emissary won't get away with it, I promise.
That's the intention. Ask for more information about it. How will it proceed?
I don't know anything about your justice system. What will happen during the trial?
Everything takes place in the Admiral's Council Chamber, which you've already visited. The prosecution, represented by the Alliance's emissary, will present their evidence and their witnesses. We'll be able to cross-examine them, of course, and I'll follow your instructions. Then we'll present our own evidence and witnesses, so all you have to do is tell me who to call and what to present. The witnesses and evidence will be cross-examined by the emissary, who will do everything in her power to find weaknesses in them. Finally, the Council will present its decision, which will hopefully be in our favor.
What are the consequences of the trial?
What are the consequences if we lose?
As a rule, we don't sentence foreigners to death. It would be too risky, since we are too dependent on our wealthy clients. But since you're accused of murder, you could end up in jail for a long time, or banished from Yuxantis for life if you're lucky. For Alvida, things are a little different. Although it's rare for a Knot to be sentenced to death for the murder of a foreigner. But if we lose, she'll lose everything. Her rank, her freedom. I hope it doesn't come to that.
Alright then. Let us start the trial.
We think we're ready for the trial.
I think we have more than enough to clear you. Remember to give me all the documents I'll need to show, as well as the names of the witnesses, and we can go. Don't forget that during the trial, it will be up to you to tell me who to call and what to share.
Defendants, take your seats. The trial is about to begin. We are
All right.
gathered here before Admirals Cabral and Barcelos. I shall be representing the inhabitants of this island. Our aim is to clarify the events that took place in front of the Ink Mistress's workshop, which led to the deaths of several of the Bridge Alliance emissaries' escorts. The emissary will represent the prosecution. Is the emissary here and ready to present her arguments?
I am. And I will prove, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that these savages murdered my escort and brought chaos to this island.
The defendants are Captain Alvida and the group of foreigners who are her guests. They are represented by the master of the shipyard.
We are also ready.
Very well. The prosecution has the floor.
Your honors, Noughts, I come here to seek justice for the lives of my men who were murdered on your streets. And I will prove to you that these savages are the killers.
Please explain how your men ended up in this part of town, when they were supposed to be part of your escort.
There's a good point.
I'd given them the afternoon off, so I assume they were sightseeing. That's when they were attacked by these islanders and their companions.
Why would they do that?
Because they're savages. Ever since my people first set foot on Tir Fridi, we witnessed nothing but savagery. They constantly reject any form of progress. They kill people, massacre them if need be, and then pass themselves off as victims. They lure far more sophisticated people into their nets and make them pay for their crimes. Which explains why these eminent representatives of other peoples from the continent, as well as Captain Alvida, are here.
This whole speech sounds like an indictment, but you haven't provided any evidence.
That is true.
This is true. Do you have any evidence or witnesses to call?
I do. I call Longshoreman Duarte to the stand.
Well, where is your witness, emissary?
I don't have the slightest idea.
You're wasting our time, emissary. Do you have any other witnesses?
I'll call the head guard.
The head guard didn't show up until after the fight.
Don't worry. We can cross-examine him if you wish.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Very well. Can you tell us what you witnessed that day?
We were on patrol in the neighborhood, and a longshoreman came to tell us that some savages had attacked a group of Alliance foreigners. We got there as quickly as we could, but by the time we arrived, the savages were putting away their weapons and the others were lying dead on the ground.
Is there any way they could have just been passing by and had drawn their weapons to assist my men?
No, they were covered in the men's blood, and we saw them finish off the last one as we approached. I'm sorry. I wish we'd gotten there sooner. We could have saved your men.
You did your duty. What could you have possibly done in the face of such savagery? What happened next?
We wanted to arrest them, but the master of the shipyard intervened and reminded us that we could only arrest the captain.
A law that's difficult to swallow when it's obvious that the ones it benefits are the true culprits, and the innocent must shoulder the burden of their crimes.
In the context of this court, you will abstain from criticizing our laws.
Yeah,
emissary.
good point.
Of course, forgive me. I have no further questions for this witness.
Does the defense wish to question the witness?
Yes, we would.
Ask him if he can confirm who started the attack.
According to your own testimony, you did not witness the attack, yet you arrested the captain.
Well, those men have been killed, and it was obvious that the captain and her friends were responsible for their deaths.
Really? Would the scene you discovered have been different if these people were the victims of a vicious attack and were only defending themselves?
I suppose the scene would have been the same, yes. But the longshoreman.
Since the longshoreman isn't here, what he told you can't be trusted. What was the first thing the defendants said to you when you tried to arrest them?
They were only defending themselves.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Now that
Thank
the
you.
prosecution has presented its evidence and witnesses, it's time for the defense to present its case.
It's our turn now. What would you like us to present first?
Call the witnesses.
I call the Ink Mistress to the stand. Can you tell us what happened during the attack in front of your workshop?
I was inside my workshop at the time of the attack, and unfortunately, I didn't see the fight.
That's a very useful testimony.
The prosecution will refrain from commenting until the floor is opened. Continue, Mistress.
Thank you.
I didn't see anything, but I did hear what happened. I clearly heard someone shouting something before the fighting started.
Can you tell us what was shouted?
Not entirely, but I distinctly heard the words savage and traitor.
It was the native who was shouting as he threw himself at my men.
No, I didn't recognize the voice. It wasn't any of the defendants. It was a different voice. What's more, I'd like to add that the defendants were thoughtful, not the savages they've been made out to be.
Thank you, Mistress. It seems clear that the attack was preceded by insults that were proffered by the emissary's men. This contradicts her version of the events.
I don't believe a word of it.
Madam, we have tolerated your repeated interruptions, despite our requests to respect the protocol. But we will not tolerate you questioning the word of an eminent figure on our island. Does the prosecution have any questions for this witness?
Anything at all?
No, I have no questions for the venerable mistress.
Would you like to call Silvio the carpenter to testify?
I'm not sure it's a good idea, but I'll let you decide.
You're all saying it's not, but put him on the stand.
Call the carpenter to the stand. He's the only one who really saw what happened.
Of course. I hope his reputation won't detract from the value of his testimony. I call Carpenter Silvio to the stand. Can you tell us where you were when the attack took place?
I was in my workshop, which is partly open to the outside. It's across from the Ink Mistress's workshop.
So you saw the whole thing. Can you tell us about it?
Yes, I saw everything. I saw the defendants leaving the Mistress's workshop. Then a group of armed men in Alliance uniforms appeared. They called the group savages and traitors and attacked them on sight. The defendants were forced to defend themselves. They were much better fighters than their attackers and had no trouble defeating them.
Lies! My trained soldiers would never have been defeated by this savage and his followers if they hadn't been taken by surprise.
Silence! Let the witness finish.
You really aren't
Then
doing
the
much
head
for
guard
yourself.
and his men showed up. So did you, Master. And they arrested the captain.
I have no further questions for this witness. After listening to this testimony, it seems clear to me that the defendants were attacked, and that they therefore are not to blame.
Does the prosecution wish to question the witness?
Absolutely. You're a carpenter now. But what did you do before that?
I was a shipwright.
That's a far more noble and respected profession in Yuxantis. What happened to you?
I lost my job and my rank after one of the ships I'd worked on sank. I was blamed for the loss of the ship and the deaths of the crew.
Tell me, who was the captain of this ship?
The ship's captain was named Estrella.
She was Captain Alvida's mother. Isn't it only natural that this man, who feels like he owes a debt to the captain, the same captain who risks paying a high price for her guests' violence, would take the stand and lie for her in order to make up for it? Can you believe a man who was responsible for the deaths of an entire crew?
I warned you.
Do you have any further questions for this witness, emissary?
No, I'm done with him.
Does the defense have any other
Well,
witnesses to
we
call?
got a point of reputation,
I was
at least.
thinking of calling Alvida to the stand. You were all witnesses, but her word carries more weight here than yours. What do you think?
Let her testify.
Call Alvida. She can testify for us all.
I'm more than willing to answer your questions, and those of this snake.
I call the defendant, Captain Alvida, to the stand. Can you introduce yourself and tell us what happened that day, in your own words?
My name is Captain Alvida. I had just received my new ink when it happened.
Can you remind the court of what you did to earn this new rank?
I sailed from the coast of Tynea to Yaxantis in a fisherman's skiff.
A true feat. Please continue.
We barely set foot outside the ink mistress's shop when a group of Alliance men approached. One of them shouted at us that we were savages and traitors to our people, and that they were going to show us our true place. Then they attacked us. Fortunately, we were able to defeat them. It was only then that the head guard arrived. He wanted to arrest everyone, and you stopped him. So, I was the only one who was taken to jail, since my friends here were my guests.
Thank you, Captain. I have no further questions.
Does the prosecution have any questions for this witness?
Well, let's see how
Of
this
course.
goes.
Captain, are you sure your savage friend here didn't attack my men before you had time to see it? You wouldn't be the first person to trust in these animals and be betrayed by them.
I'm absolutely certain that the events took place just as I described them. And please don't compare my friend to an animal.
Then how do you explain that a Naut longshoreman alerted the head guard and pointed you out as the attackers?
The only explanation is that he was lying.
And who's to say you're not the one who's lying? Your hands are red with the blood of my men.
Emissary, please control yourself. If you show
Thank you.
disrespect to the witness again, we will put an end to this trial immediately.
Please, forgive me. I have
Thank
no
you,
further questions.
Barcelos.
Master, we have no further witnesses.
Alright, let's present the
We
evidence.
shall now proceed to show our evidence.
We would now like to present some evidence that has come to light in the course of our investigation.
Evidence? Evidence of what?
Emissary, the defense has the floor. Please allow the master of the shipyard to present his case.
I have here a document signed by this very emissary, which mentions an agreement with a certain Duarte, who works as a longshoreman. The document states that this man is to alert the head guard that an attack is taking place against the Alliance's men. It also states that he will have to testify before this court and specifically identify the natives from Tir Fredi as being behind the attack. The reward for this service is a very substantial sum of money.
It must be a forgery. A forgery created by the defendants to escape
Why, you're
a fair
looking a little
punishment.
worried, Zahide.
As our master librarian is a handwriting specialist, I suggest that he examine this contract and give us his expert opinion on the matter.
I will look into this during the deliberations. Have you found any other evidence?
We would like to present
We
this
have.
report, which was found in a hideout, where this very emissary was participating in suspicious activities.
How dare you? What kind of scandalous accusation is that?
Explain yourself, master of the shipyard. It is highly unusual to describe the person representing the prosecution in this manner.
How else can I describe the activities that required the emissary to travel to an obscure cabin in the inland territory? Not to mention the fact that this report describes these activities in great detail.
Lies, lies, and more lies. An outrageous forgery.
Let the defense continue.
The emissary and her men were obviously making deals with some of our more law-averse Nauts to smuggle contraband.
For shame. Master, I'm counting on you to give us these documents so that we can find the culprits.
Yes. We won't let a few bad apples spoil the guild's reputation.
And just how did you find this obviously forged report?
You may ask your questions when the defense has finished. Carry on, Master of the Shipyard.
Thank you,
In
Library
addition
Guardian.
to the highly instructive explanations of their smuggling activities, these documents also include a very important element that is of interest in these proceedings. The attack is clearly planned out in detail. The head guard was to be alerted as soon as it took place. If the Alliance men were able to kill the natives, the captain and her companions, then the testimony of the longshoreman and the head guard was to have cleared them of any suspicion. If not, well, we've all seen how the rest of the plan was to play out.
Nonsense! This is unacceptable!
Why would the emissary have planned such a dire scheme that would surely put the lives of her men at risk?
The report is very clear on this point. The aim was to decidedly tarnish the natives' reputation in our eyes. Some are starting to raise their voices here against what's happening in Tir Fredi, especially concerning the deportation of the natives. If we all thought the natives were savages and beasts, we'd have fewer scruples about dealing with them. Wouldn't we?
That's exactly what they are!
That's
Animals.
enough, ma'am!
Do
How
shut up.
dare you!
We will study this report carefully. And if it proves to be true, you'll be the one to answer for it.
Master, do you have any further evidence to submit?
No, we have nothing further to present to the court.
Let us listen to the verdict then.
We have nothing more to add.
The defense has presented all of its evidence and will now defer to the council's judgment.
In that case, we will now take leave to deliberate.
Can't I plead my case?
If you were hoping to make a case for your ideas, you should know that's not how things work around here. The witnesses and the evidence are presented, and anyone can examine and refute them, but the final decision is the council's. We'll return once a unanimous decision has been made.
Alright then.
The council has come to a decision. I now give the floor to Admiral Cabral, who will announce the verdict.
Thank you. The trial was a farce. It was an obvious attempt to use the Nauts to further the political ambitions of certain factions of the Alliance.
I protest!
We will not stand for it. We find Captain Alvida and her companions innocent, of course, and the Alliance emissary and her retinue are henceforth banished from Yuxantis.
Banished? If you think we're going to accept...
Silence! This is our island. You shall respect our laws. You will be taken back to the mainland as soon as possible.
And
a
there we
thorough
go.
investigation will be carried out to identify and bring to justice all those who colluded with you.
The council has ruled, and the court is adjourned.
You're free and may do as you please until you're ready to board your ship, Captain. Despite the trial, I've had the shipyard working on it, and it'll be ready to sail with the tide tomorrow.
Perfect.
Captain, I know what you think of me, what everyone thinks of me. But could I have a word with you?
What is it?
I hear you're looking for your mother's logbook. I know where it is.
Is that so? How could you possibly know that?
I'll tell you when the time comes, but not here. Meet me at the tavern when you're done.
I don't trust you, Silvio, but I'll come. It would be wrong not to hear you out at least once.
Alright then. Mission complete. That is absolutely fantastic. And we also got level ups. Let's see, skills. So yeah, I've got the skills there. 30 is when I get higher up. What do I want? I have twin blows. Damage from AoE attacks by 3%, that's kind of pathetic. 3% additional damage really isn't much. Applies toughness when life is less than 25%. Damage on an enemy twice, which I do have. But honestly, considering what I'm doing, double thrust is damage twice with high hit chance, and that's just damage twice. Slightly more damage, so it's not really worth it. I do need to spend another point. I could take Battle Master. I guess I'll take Double Blow, not that it's really that pointless, that useful. I could take Protector's Stance, which will get me access to Ground Repair and Relieving Pain, which gives more of that, and then Avatar Protection. I don't really care about these very much. Let's see. Charges an enemy target violently, inflicts damage, and applies projection. Or applies projection. That costs 2, that costs 1. I mean, knockdown isn't that bad. And now I know that projection is basically just knockdown. I don't care about the bows. I don't really want to do Path of Destruction. It would be a good idea going up this way. The weapon skill improvement would also be good. Oh, I didn't even see these. Increases the damage from AoE attacks by 3%, which is really not much. Double Blow isn't really much of a boost. Aside, oh, actually, interrupts characters hit by the first strike. Actually, that would be good. And that counts as a third point. Okay, good. Attributes. More points in agility. Point in perception. Endurance. And a point in focus to bring that to max. And then we have skills. You need a third point for this. More healing would be good, but let's give you double arrow so that you have it. It could be useful. You can go ahead and take, let's see. This actually would be a good idea because you'd have more abilities that you could do. And you... let's see. I could do that, but let's see. Shadow Storm. Heavy damage on characters within an area of effect around the caster. That looks like it'll be useful, so we'll go with that. Okay. And mission complete. Wait for Alvida's new ship to be ready. You could use this time to explore Yazantis or just rest before your departure. Which we'll do in the next episode, because this one's gone on long enough. Next episode, we'll see what's left to talk to around here. Till then, I'm Chester44, Arsenian that is Vridden Gare. This has been a Let's Play of Greedfall, the Dying World, and I shall see you all next time.